Hey everyone, it's Lance with Ride Lance, and today I have the modified Puckipuppy Labrador Pro. And I'm going to take it out a ride here in a few minutes, but let me show you what I did to prepare this bike for me for off-roading. What I've done. First thing I've done, got rid of the fenders. Got rid of the fenders front and back and the rack. Then I changed the seat. I put a different comfort seat on. Now this is not the one I typically use. I usually use a blue end, but those, I don't have any extras right now. This is the one I had, but it's better than stock. That stock one, man, that thing just, it's comfortable for a little while, but the thing squeaks like a church mouse, like all get out, and I didn't like it. So anybody knows me and watched my videos before, they know I don't like a noisy bike. But what else did I do? I took the kickstand off because that's another thing. When you're riding off-road, it just bangs and bounces and makes all kinds of noises when you ride. The biggest thing I did is I changed the handlebars. You can see I went with a 3.5-inch rise, and those bars are almost 31 inches long. These are the stock bars that came on it. So you can see how much longer they are. Plus, right about there, you can see how much more of a rise it gives you. That's because I'm a rider who doesn't like to be hunched over like in that mountain bike position. It hurts the back after a while. It puts too much pressure on your hands. So I like this. It gives me more of a upright riding position. And I really like the width. Now this is the same thing, the exact same setup I've done on the XPeak. It worked on the XPeak. I'm going to see if it works here. Sitting on it, riding up down the street, it felt good. But we'll see when we get out on a trail. Okay, did I do anything else to this? Let me think here. I think that's about it. I did a little adjusting on the suspension, only the front because the rear suspension is non-adjustable. But that's about it. So now let's go out, give her a ride, go on a few trails and see how she does. All right, now it's time to put these modifications to the test and see how they do. Now right off the bat, I am in such a much more comfortable riding position. I'm not leaned over, my arms aren't down lower. And with the wider bars, at least for taller guys, maybe 5'9" and up, I think the wider grip just gives you much more feeling of control over the bike. And like I said, it's just a much more nicer riding position, being a little more straight up. I'm not totally straight up, but just enough punch, I guess you could call it, to be comfortable. Now another thing I noticed is the squeak didn't go away. I thought it was the seat, but now I'm thinking it's the seat post connection where it connects to the seat. But we're gonna ride down here, talk about a few things I think I like about this bike and a few things that I think need improvement over what I've already done. And we'll get to my little off-road area and then we'll see how it performs on the trail. So let's start about the things I do like about the bike. I do like its design. It's a nice design. It looks really nice. But good design doesn't necessarily equal good performance. So you can't just base the bike just off of looks. But I do like the design. It looks like it's a well thought out design, a well put together fit and finish. And the other thing I do like about it is the fact that they put a 20 amp hour battery on it. 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. It's what I wish a few other manufacturers would do to their bikes that are their popular bikes. But maybe eventually. And what else do I like? I do like that rear suspension. That rear suspension really does soak things up, but with a caveat. What's that bird carrying? Garbage? Blackbird has something big in its mouth. See it? Up there? Right in front? Oh yeah, it dropped a... No, looked like a nest. Looked like it attacked a nest. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh yes, with a caveat. If you're going to do some like serious off-roading where it is really bumpy and you potentially have you either jump this bike or the back end really lightens up after it's been compressed because there's no rebound adjustment on the rear shock, it rebounds with a thud. I wanted to screw the goosey-gooseys here. Yes, it will rebound with a pretty big thud. I don't believe it does anything to harm it, but you can hear it. What else do I like about this bike? The brakes. The brakes are good. They're Logan brakes, 180 millimeter rotors on the front and back. And they do have good stopping power. You heard the back end lock up there. Now, on my first off-road test, I did get some front brake fade. They were overheating. But remember, I'm a 250-pound guy, and I was going down a steep hill and only using the front brakes. I was testing it. But it went on a while. It didn't start immediately. But after a while, I could feel it fade, stopped having power, and then I could actually smell it too. But you know that's going to happen probably with just about any brake if you overextend its intended use, and I think I did that. Normally I would go down a hill using both brakes, not just the front brake, but I'm an old motocrosser who relied heavily on the front brake. So it's just a kind of a force of habit. And I do like its torque sensor, especially when you're trail riding. There's no abrupt burst of power, which is great for trail riding. It's something you don't want to have in trail riding like you would have with a cadence sensor, where it's just going to give you everything it's got all at once. So it does have a nice torque sensor. Okay, now let's talk about the things I think need improving. Well, just like the things I liked, the rear shock. It needs to have some type of damping control, because that thud can just get annoying. And what else? The front end, the front forks. Here, let me pull over real quick and show you something. See if you can see it from here. Now this is the third ride on it, but you can see already right there, it's already wearing off the black finish, and it's on, and it's happening on both sides. So I'm not sure what they can do about that. But that's something that is, it's not necessarily concerning. I just think after a couple of rides and you see that, you might start to wonder, is the fork's going to wear out on me? And I might have to replace forks. The other thing I'd like to see is a bigger display. This display is a little small. In the shade, it's a color display. You can see the stuff, but I'd rather have a bigger display and a display that was mounted landscape style instead of horizontal or vertical. I'm sorry, instead of vertical. I'd like to see that. And what else? Of course, this creaking. Ooh. The creaking. It just annoys me. Like I said, I like a quiet bike. I don't like a bike that sounds like a bucket of bolts, creaks and squeaks when you're riding. And it's doing it even on the paved ground. You know, I know you can't get 100% noise free. I mean, because there's just a lot of stuff on an e-bike, a lot of wires. But that's really about it. I don't really have any other, well, I wouldn't call them complaints, but things I think that need to be done better. Now, I know this is a popular bike with a lot of people, the Labrador series. So I'm telling you guys, especially taller guys, right now, because I just really like it. If you want a much better, much more comfortable riding position, go with bars like these. You just feel like you have more control over the bike with a wider stance on your arms. And of course, a more comfortable seat. But let's get this down to my trail area and see how these little modifications I did do. Okay, now let's try a little off-roading. So far, so good. So as a trail rider like this, I think it does just fine. But if you're getting into harder mountain biking where you might be jumping and just really hitting stuff really hard, you might not want, every once in a while, you might want to think you can hear the back end rebound hard. Sounds like a Urban Explorer. Just simple trail riding like this. I think this bike does fit the bill. And I think you'll be happy with it. Now for me, I'd like to see a bit more performance out of it for my type
carry
of
enough
riding,
speed to make
but
it
not
top.
everybody rides the way I ride. Some people may not even ride this on off the road. And if that's the case, you know, you stick to the roads, you stick to the bike trails
so far,
but we're going to another area.
paved
Pass. This is
more ins
gonna
and
be a
outs,
very
windy
smooth rider. I think I just
and
passed
with
the
that
entrance.
48 volt 20 amp hour battery, but maybe I'll go to the other end and
It's going
work
to
my
give you
way
a
back
whole day
this
of
way.
enjoyment. So hold on. And if you're something like an RVer and you want something more than a 20-inch wheel bike because you might want to explore the areas you're camping, I think this is another good choice, or at least in your category of considerations if you're looking at other bikes. So as a trail rider like this, I think it does just fine. But if you're getting into harder mountain biking where you might be jumping and just really hitting stuff really hard, you might want to think twice about this. But if you're an adventurer, urban explorer, just simple trail riding like this, I think this bike does fit the bill. Now for me, if I was looking for a 26-inch wheel fat tire off-road bike, this would be on my list of considerations. But it would be up against things like the XPeak 2.0, the new Nomad 2X, and probably a few others. Now, would it win out? For me, I don't think it would win out over just those two bikes. But again, if you're one who's just looking for basic trail riding, I'm gonna get back on the path here, or you're gonna ride on paths like this might be the perfect choice for you. Because this bike does do everything good, does it do it outstanding? No, but you know, what bike without heavy modification does everything just outstanding where, you know, it's just 100% perfect right out of the box? Now, I don't see anything glaringly wrong with it. You know, I've told you the things I'd like to see them work on and upgrade or fix. But it doesn't mean this bike is not capable of what it was intended for. And I think that intention is light trail riding, fire roading, cruising. That's why I think it will fit the best for people who might be looking for that. All right, well, I got the bike pointed towards home, so you know what that means. You have a great day, great ride, great week, and I will see you on the next adventure, video, whatever it might be. Bye.